Hello and welcome aboard. Good morning. My name is Denisia Pomaije. Welcome to AM News. Now we begin from the communications sector because a Minister for Communications, Samuel Nate George, has told the Public Accounts Committee that the National Information Technology Agency, NITA, will take full charge of the Ministry of Health's interim digitization measure for hospitals. Well, the Health Ministry has announced plans to roll out what it calls the Ghana Health Information Management System as an interim digital platform for hospitals, following the controversy with Lightwave Health Information Management System Limited. But speaking at the Public Accounts Committee on Monday, Sam George says he has shut down the request to engage a third party to roll out this new system.
As we speak, the country is aware of what's going on with the Ministry of Health and the LIMS contract. Mr. Chair, the Ministry of Health has reached out to us to provide some support for the stopgap measure they want to do. Now, we are being told that that contract, which is not being, or this service that we are going to render from the National Data Center to the Ministry of Health, must be signed with this private entity and payments made to the private entity. And so I have written officially to the Director General of NITA, instructing him to engage the Ministry of Health directly and not through the private entity. Because the asset is the property of the Ghanaian people, paid for in full by the Ghanaian people with our taxes. And this is another government agency we are offering services to. If any payments will be made, it will be made to NITA directly. The terms of the contract must be that Smart Infraco should go and bring new contracts and new jobs and share revenue. And not that they sit back and then our government asset has been handed over to a private entity and they are commercializing it and taking all the revenue. This is what I inherited. And this is what we're trying to fix.
And still at the Public Accounts Committee, the Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu, has indicated that he's ready to amend the Ghana Education Tertiary Commission Act, Act 1023, to allow more time for tertiary universities to acquire a presidential charter. GTech in February 2024 gave a 6-month ultimatum to all universities, especially the private universities, to get chartered or risk shutdown. Appearing before the Public Accounts Committee, the Education Minister first indicated that he's taking steps to amend the GTech Act to give the schools more time to do the needful. James Aveji has more.
GTech Act, every university which wants to operate under autonomy and issue its own certificate will have to acquire a presidential charter within 4 to 6 years of establishment and operation. In the absence of these, they are required to affiliate with universities with charter to issue certificates in the name of those universities. But as of last year, GTech revealed that 77 universities failed to acquire the charter, hence the threat to shut them down. Responding to queries at the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament, the Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, said he is taking steps to review the Act to extend the 4 to 6 years mandatory period.
Government is reviewing that position, and there may be a policy review of it to extend the moratorium, but certainly not to perpetuity, but we would give them some space of time. Chairman, noting that not every qualified Ghanaian student has the opportunity to be admitted into a public tertiary institution, they will be in denial if we were to be high-handed in terms of the regulation. But that's what the law requires him to do. So I may seek a review of the law in order that we extend the period of the charter and then learn from best practice. What happens in Australia, what happens in the US or UK? How are those private institutions able to cope with the public tertiary institutions?
He said the threat of shutdown, if carried out, would do Ghana's educational system more harm than good, raising he's exploring more options to deal with the matter without compromising on quality.
If we did that, apart from the students who will be affected, Ghanaians in the private sector who are investing in private tertiary education, that will be a disincentive to them. And they've done well. I mean, if you look at whether the church-related institutions, whether it's the Catholic Church or it's the Pentecost Church or the Presbyterian Church, which is providing higher education. They've done pretty well in partnering government in providing that. So we will review the legislation, but not to perpetuate it. It won't be forever and ever. Then you keep saying that, give me more time. It cannot be. But at least let's give them some time, because the challenge is, how many students are they able to admit? And they are fee paying. How many parents? It's the same Ghanaian parents who are paying because the ward or child could not get a public tertiary education. So standards will not be compromised, but I think that we should allow them time and space to justify their expenditure and the training they are providing. Thank you.
The Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, has also been speaking on the raging matter of the use of unearned academic titles by some individuals across the country. And he said, beyond what has come public, there are a number of such reports that are before the GTEC, which they are looking into.
The Director General of GTEC is acting in accordance with his mandate and the law, and recognizes that whoever is affected by it will be pronounced as he is doing. A number of it will refer to council, and they are looking at it. I'm awaiting a report from the GTEC council for a briefing. Then I'll come back to this house if you so desire.
Beyond the public criticism in some instances with regards to the use of this title, the GTEC is resolved to crack the whip on the matter, while Parliament is also waiting on the minister to bring in the GTEC Act for some level of amendment. From Parliament House here in Accra, I am James Savaji for JoyNews.
And away from Parliament, President John Dramani Mahama has revealed that he's pushing for a new regional security platform that will bring the AES states on board in the fight against violent extremism. Speaking at a joint press conference, President of Germany, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, who is in Ghana on a 3-day visit, pledged over 65 million euros in development cooperation to Ghana, subject to approval by the German parliament.
There was a resplendent display of Ghanaian culture on day 2 of the German president's state visit to Ghana, featuring a full military guard of honor, bilateral talks, a joint press conference, and a state luncheon at the Jubilee House. The president of Germany, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, announced that subject to the approval of the German parliament, Germany will support Ghana this year with more than 65 million euros in development cooperation.
And I'm happy to say that today we've also been able to bring good news, good tidings, that of course pending on the approval of the German parliament, the Bundestag that is, Germany will again commit more than 65 million euro to Ghana in the framework of our development cooperation, which equals more than 823 million Ghana CD. The details will be negotiated before the end of this month.
Both presidents expressed concern about the growing threat of violent extremism in the Sahel region. President John Mahama revealed he is pushing for a new regional security platform that will bring the AES states on board in the fight against terrorism.
The Accra Initiative was set up as a platform for our joint fight against violent extremism in the West African sub-region. Unfortunately, currently, the AES states are not participating in the Accra Initiative. And so what I've been engaged with is seeking a new platform that can bring them on board, because the fight is not theirs alone. It's a sub-regional fight, because violent extremism is like a cancer. It continues to grow and spread. And so currently we have discussions. I was in Mali a week ago to discuss the issue of a joint platform where we can collaborate to help them, and the international community can assist in the joint fight against violent extremism.
President Frank-Walter Steinmeier said Germany, together with the European Union, is supporting Ghana's efforts to promote long-term stability and development in the Sahel. President Mahama also reiterated his call for Africa to have a permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council, arguing that global governance cannot be fair or credible without Africa's full representation.
Regarding Africa's representation in global governance, Ghana continues its long-standing and legitimate demand for Africa's permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. Africa, with 54 countries and over 1.4 billion people, remains the only inhabited continent in this world without a permanent representation on the world's most influential decision-making body. This historical injustice must be corrected.
He further urged nations to resist the lure of economic nationalism and instead work together to reform, not dismantle, the global institutions that unite the world.
Now, moving on to other stories. As climate change endangers food security, Ghanaian farmers are being urged to adopt climate-smart practices to protect their livelihoods and also improve crop yields. During a visit to Accra demonstration fields in Cape Coast and KEEA, Dr. Joseph Adomako of the CSIR Crop Research Institute encouraged the use of sustainable methods that adapt to shifting weather patterns. He said over 500 farmers have been trained under the Accra project and called on the Agriculture Ministry and partners to expand climate education for stronger resilience and productivity.
Accelerating impacts of CGIAR Climate Research for Africa (ICRA) project is aimed at strengthening climate resilience and food security in Ghana. The project has facilitated 18 climate-smart agriculture farms across 10 communities in the Cape Coast metropolis and KEEA municipality. Benjamin Amwa is the Agric Extension Agent in charge of the Mempasem operational area, one of ICRA's technology fields in the Cape Coast metropolis.
Now the expectation is that normally they don't farmers don't normally plant during the dry season. So now the farmers are happy that now they have drought tolerances that can withstand the dry spell or the dry season. Yes, and we usually get information too from the GMET, helping us to know the time for planting, harvesting, let's say application of chemicals or agrochemicals. But here everything is bio-pesticide free. We don't use anything like that. For now, there's no complaint. Everything we are doing here is perfect. And the farmers are attesting to it, and they can see themselves. This is a field trip that we are having, and they can see everything themselves, and they are very happy to adopt to these new innovations and technologies that we are deploying.
During a visit to some of these technology fields in Cape Coast and KEEA, Dr. Joseph Adomako, a senior research scientist with the CSI Crop Research Institute, one of the partners in the ICRA project, urged farmers to adapt new farming innovations to align with the world's evolving climate.
So for this, I'll tell them that farmers should know that the world is changing. The issue of climate change has come to stay. And so first, they should be abreast with climate information. These days, GMET is doing very well. Almost every day, they're updating on how the weather condition, the climate is going to be. At the beginning of the year to the beginning of the season too, they give the season forecast. So first, not only to the farmers, let me also advise the AES and the MoFA guys, MoFA Extension and the Department of Agri, that when they receive this information, they should be magnanimous enough to pass this information to our farmers.
The Cape Coast Metropolitan Director of Agriculture, Olympia Williams, also advised farmers to be receptive to change.
We are encouraging farmers that whatever we bring to their attention and we take them through, they learn, they shouldn't hesitate. We do these things not because we are just pushing their own way of doing things. No, we also look at what they have. Those that are very good, we marry them with ours, and then we are good to go.
From Cape Coast, Abigail Lissel Nkrumah reports for JoyNews.
From Cape Coast, let me bring you back here to Accra. Manufacturers of Tasty Tom Mix have revamped their operations with a renewed focus on quality and safety standards to restore confidence in public confidence in their products. Assistant Quality Assurance Manager Ernestina GT tells JoyNews the company is opening its doors to the public to witness firsthand the strict safety and hygiene protocols that guide the production of Tasty Tom products. There's more in the following report.
Assistant Quality Assurance Manager Tasty Tom Ernestina GT has announced that the company is inviting members of the public to visit its factory and observe firsthand the strict safety and manufacturing practices put in place to ensure the production of safe and high-quality Tasty Tom products. According to Ms. Ajete, the initiative forms part of Tasty Tom's broader commitment to openness and accountability following recent quality concerns that were swiftly resolved in collaboration with regulatory authorities. She said this in an interview.
Every Thursday, we are inviting you all to Tasty Tom to come and then verify, see things for yourself, see all the quality procedures, all the quality measures, all the inputs that we put in place to achieve safe and quality Tasty Tom products. When you come to the factory, you are going to see a whole lot of good things. First is our hand washing procedure, where you are supposed to wash your hands thoroughly with soap and around.
Some consumers who visited the factory also shared the experience after witnessing the manufacturing process.
If you are a Tasty Tom enriched tomato mix enthusiast like I am, I think that you should make time, come around, have a feel, see for yourself what you have been consuming. And believe you me, you would rebuild that confidence and trust that you've had in the brand over the years.
It's now time for us to take some business news by who? Guess who? Dear Hunter Bailey, Samuel Kujibrace, right after this break.
Well, let's start the update with what's trending on the currency market. Now, away from that, the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISA, has praised improvement in Ghana's balance of payment position, improved in the 2024 compared with 2023. The significant improvement was driven by reduced external sector payment, lower capital outflows, and increased resource inflows from the International Monetary Fund's Economic Credit Facility Program. The following report captures more.
In its 2024 State of Ghana Economy Report, the capital and financial accounts saw lower net outflows, mainly due to decreased portfolio outflows and debt repayment. With respect to the current account position, merchandise exports rose, led by increased gold crude oil exports. At the same time, merchandise imports also grew, driven by non-oil imports and marginal increase in oil-related imports. The reserve account increased to 4 months of imports compared to the 3-month target. This was due to the Gold for Reserves program and higher current and financial accounts. For the trade sector performance, Ghana's trade balance was $4.9 billion in 2024, up from $2.6 billion in 2023. The value of merchandise exports increased by 21.4% from $16.6 billion in 2023 to $20.2 billion in 2024.
Now, the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, PFAG, has expressed deep concern over the ongoing glut in the grain value chain, which is causing severe hardship for farmers nationwide. The association has made some demands of government after the Ministry of Food and Agriculture announced an additional 100 million cedis to National Food Buffer Stock Company to address the crisis. The following report has more.
According to the association, over 200,000 metric tons of unsold paddy rice and maize remain from the last farming season, and many rice farms are still unharvested. It pointed out that farmers now face threats from bird invasions, bushfires, and limited harvesting capacity, which would jeopardize all their investments if nothing drastic is done. Government has released 100 million cedis to address the issue. However, the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana is demanding an immediate publication of companies, locations, and quantities of grains procured with an initial 100 million cedis. In addition, it wants clear timelines for the commencement of grain purchases under the new 100 million cedis allocation, as well as a published list of all approved licensed buying companies, millers and aggregators with their assigned locations for direct farmer engagement. The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana says it expects that the measures should be quickly deployed and announced immediately to save farmers' investment.
Let's wrap up with what's happening on the commodities market. And that's all in business updates. Back to you, Poma.
Thank you, Samuel Kojo-Brace, for bringing us some business news. Well, that's it for AM News. But don't forget, if you want more news, I know a place. MyJoyOnline.com is your best bet. My name is Denisia Pomaide. Enjoy the rest of the show. But up next is sports.